is the Rebel Author Podcast, where we talk about books, business, and occasionally bad words. Hello, Rebels, and welcome to episode 272 of the Rebel Author Podcast. Today, I'm talking to Jacqueline Hayley all about the ins and outs of international signings. But first, to a couple of comments on ZS Diamante's episode. Anthony Paparello said, started listening to this while getting ready for work this morning, and you said my name as a new patron member, and my husband ran into the room and rewound the episode 2 times and was like, is this for real? Ha ha ha. I couldn't stop laughing. Oh, I love that so much. And welcome and thank you for being a patron too. And then JP is laughing quite a lot at face of an angry lesbian, which I'm assuming I said in that episode. I am recording this on Wednesday, the 4th of December. Which means we are less than 24 hours from the release of my last book in the trilogy, House of Crimson Curses. I am super excited because not only is it the launch of the last book in the trilogy, it means it's another complete series under the Ruby brand. I beat the pre-orders for book 2, so it's my most pre-orders ever. I can't believe it. I'm super fucking pleased about that. Obviously, hashtag competition, everyone drink. And because I had a viral video last week, I'm also seeing increased sales anyway, so I'm really excited for this month. I have a very good feeling about where I'm going to end up at the end of this month, and I'm not going to say any more just in case because I don't want to jinx anything. I had a bit of a weird week. This sort of, half of this last week, and I'm just about getting back into the office and into a proper routine again. I have had birthdays and events and things out of the office and meetings and all the rest of it. This time of year happens to be quite difficult for me. It's a bit like summer, I think, because there's a lot of school stuff that goes on, and kids stuff and family birthdays and all the rest of it. But nonetheless, I am now back on track with outlining, and I'm really hoping that I'm going to manage to do a small surprise novella, which a lot of my readers have been asking for. I'm not promising to do it because I was talking to my strengths coach and I kind of need to find the excitement for it. It's sort of there, but what I think was happening is that I needed to get the outlining done for Architecti, which is my new book title for a duology that I am writing. That's the next kind of major project that I'm working on. But I think once I get the outline done for Architecti, I will be able to go and give some focus to this novella that I'm trying to do. And one of the things that I've decided is that I really want to be ahead next year. I really want to get ahead creatively. And if I have this novella, that's potentially an additional launch that will give me a little bit extra time to kind of write and get ahead of myself. So there's a lot of strategic reasons for doing it. It's just whether or not I can get my creative muse to play ball. So we shall see. I'm going to try really fucking hard to get this outline done by Tuesday next week. So about a week's time, because I'm out of the office today doing meetings and things. I'm in the office, but I'm busy is what I mean. So more to tell next week, hopefully the last week before we break up for Christmas. I should be working on that novella, I hope. We shall see. Things don't always go to plan, do they? So I'm trying to be a bit more adaptable, she says, with adaptability in her bottom 5. Anyway, mentioned the viral video and it got me into the top 500. I have never been in the top 500, so it was absolutely fucking wonderful. I was thrilled to get that kind of accolade and say, I've been in the Amazon top 500. So that was pretty exciting, I'm not gonna lie. I have finalized more or less all my plans for next year, or I should say my goals, and so I might do a bit more of a sharing episode on that. I have talked to Rachel, so you will hear that in the Black Heron episode eventually. The last thing that I'm going to say is that the book 2, House of Crimson Kisses audiobook is going to be releasing on December the 10th. And one of the narrators has been nominated for an Audie Award for her narration of House of Crimson Hearts. So I absolutely adore both the narrators, but if you would like to see an award nominated, or see... if you would like to listen to an award-nominated narrator, then go and check out House of Crimson Hearts. And while you're at it, pre-order House of Crimson Kisses. Okay, enough from me. Let's do Rebel of the Week, who is Rachel. Rachel says, this week in the US, just existing as a woman, particularly a bi or pan woman, feels like an act of rebellion and sometimes dangerous. Earlier this year, I realised I was speaking around my truth with certain people in my life. It was like I was it was like I was folding in on myself to hide and protect me. I realised that in doing this, I was keeping myself small, getting angrier every day, and that I was only hurting myself by doing this. I took a big, deep breath and began catching myself in those moments. I put a reminder on my computer to stay big and stay whole. I have been feeling so much better. Today, I spoke directly to my audience in my author newsletter about grief and the ramifications of the last Trump presidency that I witnessed as a physician on the front lines of the pandemic, and my commitment to continue writing diverse queer characters and to be in action to advocate for the rights and dignity of all people. I know some folks may unsubscribe, and at least one of my author friends would advise me not to do things like this, but I did it anyway, and I've already received some thank you messages from subscribers. I'm learning to stay big even in the face of fear. After receiving a text from my godmother after that newsletter came out, I realised I also basically came out to my family and many friends in that newsletter. I identify as bisexual/pan, but between the cultural conversations on bisexual erasure, big fucking problem. Sorry, that's me. Ad-libbing, and the fact that I've barely dated in the last 5 years, I haven't felt the pressure to be open about that with a lot of folks. Happy to say my godmother is incredibly supportive. Oh, I love that she's supportive, and I love that you are staying big. I don't know if you've ever read the book Playing Big by Tara Moore. I think you spell that M-O-H-R. I read it quite a while ago. Really, really uplifting, empowering kind of book about staying big, playing big, and being true to who you are. So thank you so much for that rebellion. If you would like to be a Rebel of the Week, please do send in your story. It can be any kind of rebellion, something big, something small. It could be a pet rebellion, a grandma rebellion, a godmother rebellion. It could be a sibling rebellion. But you can email those Rebel stories to Becca over on rebelauthorpodcast@gmail.com. So a big thank you and welcome to Gina for joining the Patreon community. We are about to go through a whole load of changes for the Patreon community, and those I will talk more about those in a different episode, but I'm super excited to change up the community and bring more, I don't know, well, for want of a better word, community vibes. Which is what we already have. Oh my God, I'm just going to move on. An enormous thank you to all of my existing patrons. If you would like to support the show and get early access to all of the episodes, as well as bonus content like our Poison and Prose session tonight, or our masterclasses, and tomorrow the masterclass is on comedy, then you can, from as little as $2 a month by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. This episode is sponsored by Kobo Writing Life, Kobo's free, fast and easy self-publishing platform. KWL was built by authors for authors, and their team of dedicated book lovers is always working hard to help you reach new readers around the world. With this in mind, Kobo has developed a way for authors to reach audiobook listeners with direct audiobook upload. You can now publish an audiobook right in your Kobo Writing Life account, as easily as you can publish an ebook. You can create a customizable table of content, set the price in 16 different currencies, and even set up a pre-order for your audiobook with no date limitations. There's no exclusivity, and you will always have control of your pricing. And once your audiobook is published, there are lots of promotional opportunities. Kobo even have customizable social assets that you can download to share on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, making it even easier easier for you to reach this growing market. If you're a KWL author and don't yet have access to the audiobooks tab or the promotional mailing list, email the team at writinglife@kobo.com and they'll hook you up. Don't forget, you can purchase audiobooks on kobo.com and they will download directly to your free Kobo app or e-reader. If you want to learn more about KWL, check out the Kobo Writing Life podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, and find them on social. Create your free account today at kobo.com/writing life. Hello and welcome to the Rebel Author podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jacqueline Hayley. Jacqueline picked up her first Mills and Boon novel when she was 14 and fell head over heels in love with the romance of a happily ever after. Sweet Valley High just couldn't compete after she got hooked on plucky heroines and dashing heroes. She has a bachelor degree in print journalism, but having always been tempted to embellish the facts of a story, decided she was more suited to writing works of fiction. She lives in Australia and writes in between wrangling 2 daughters and her very own tall, handsome husband, wink wink. Hello and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me.
How old are your daughters?
They are 9 and 11.
Oh, that is amazing. So your kids are pretty much the same age as mine because Atlas is 10. He's turning 11 in a few weeks, like next month.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, next month. So smack in the middle of your 2 kids. Have you got any whiffs of hormones yet?
Oh my God. I can't even. I just, I'm trying to revel in this current phase, knowing that it's going to get worse because just the heightened emotions, like the whole, I don't
everything's
know,
the end of the world.
Yeah, right. But how lucky were we to go through teenagerhood with no mobile phones or social media?
Oh my God, I know, right? Like it makes everything worse, literally everything. And WhatsApp is the bane of my fucking life. And I know that kids are not supposed to have it at, 10, 11 and whatever. But they all do. So what are you going to be, the asshole parent that doesn't let your kid? So instead, I spend the bloody evening like scrolling 17 million like emoji messages and stuff. And I'm just like, you guys need to get the fuck out of the house and go and play on the field and scratch your knees up, okay?
Right?
Yeah.
Go and be a real kid.
I know, exactly. Come back bleeding. Anyway, this isn't about WhatsApp
Parenting.
woes. Yeah, and parenting. This is actually about international signings. But first of all, would you like to tell everyone a little bit about you and kind of your journey? How did you get to where you are today?
So I fell into reading romance, literally. My parents owned a newsagent when I was growing up. And back in the day, Mills and Boon's books used to be distributed to newsagents via magazine distributors. And so at the end of the time frame, when they had to get sent back, they would just rip the cover off and then send that back for the credit, and the actual bulk of the book would get thrown into the bin, which I didn't realize until one day I was kind of doing odd jobs, and I literally half fell into this dumpster, and it was packed full of these books, these Mills and Boon books. And so I stuffed them into my backpack, and kind of the rest is history. I was probably 13, I think, when I started reading them. But before I started writing, I was a journalist, and I was one of those, those drunken nights. And I was having very deep and meaningful conversations with my husband. And he asked, that question, what would you do if you had 2 years left to live? And I said, I've always wanted to write romance.
I love that. I love that. Sorry to interrupt. I love that he asked you such a important question, but with so much impetus behind it, because obviously him asking that, he was asking you because he wanted you to do the do, I guess.
Absolutely. And he knew that was kind of, my second daughter was, 1 or 2. And I was just at a bit of I'd had a business that I started when I was in my early 20s. I ran a lifestyle magazine, and I gave that up. And so I was at a bit of a crossroads. So I did it. So I'm now writing my 10th novel. I got hooked on The Walking Dead, the zombie TV show, but it was so sad that there was no sex. It really made me sad. And so I got into writing post-apocalyptic spicy romance.
Oh, that's interesting, because you don't normally put post-apoc with spice. So how big of a market is that? Because that's a totally new Sing
It
to
is
me.
so fucking niche. Like, I love when you talk about sapphic romance, like it's niche, right? But I think that's probably a bonus to me because anybody who wants to read post-apoc will give it a go just because there's not that much around. And really, there's not much around with spicy romance. Some, like Kyla Stone, is the most amazing post-apoc author. And she does have elements of romance in hers, but mine, I go way beyond elements. Like I'm doors wide open, tongues down throats. Let's get into it. Yeah, but I don't know. Well, it's definitely a genre and there's a market there. I'm making money, so that's
Yeah,
nice.
that is nice. That's amazing. So, I guess tell me a little bit about how you, as an Australian author, have kind of broken into the US market. Like because we are talking about US signings, and like it's definitely something that I am on the precipice of committing to. Like, I'm not sure I actually enjoy signings, so I'm hoping you're going to convince me to enjoy them. But yeah, like it's quite a big undertaking. So how did you even get to the point where you felt like it would be value for money and like worthwhile doing, going to a US signing?
So, I actually wrote them down so I would remember. I am a number one activator, a number two maximizer, and a number five positivity. So I just do shit. Um,
Hold up,
I've
hold up.
got,
You gave me three of the five, so I might have to know what the others are.
oh, the other
So,
two, neither. Okay. So I've got number three is empathy, and
okay.
number four is achiever.
Okay, so this is for anybody listening who ever wants to be a guest on my show. This is my favorite opening ever. So I love that you've just opened with your strengths. Brilliant, brilliant. Top points for you today. Okay, number one, activator. I knew I liked you for a reason. I bloody love an activator. Quite a few. I know quite a few activators in my life. Number one activators who I'm just like, oh my god, you're so much fun. So I love it. Okay, so you just do shit. Sorry, carry on, carry on.
Yeah. So, look, I don't know that I've broken into the US market. I've just kind of invited myself in. And
That's
look,
hilarious.
these US signings, you sign up for them, you pay for your table. They don't really turn you away. So you just kind of give it a go. That said, I finally got invited to a rare signing, which is in Melbourne of next year. And I've been applying for those for years. So I am really excited about doing that one. But the international ones, I think I was actually, so I do them with two of my Aussie author friends. So H.M. Hodson, who's Heather, she's in Brisbane, and Tanya Nellestein is in Sydney. So the three of us do all of our shit together. We're like, it's insane how people who you only meet two or three times a year can be so important to you. Like we
Yeah.
message each other. I probably talk to them more than I talk to my husband, to be
Yeah.
honest. Like they're my girls. They're my ride or dies. So we just decided we wanted to do it. And so we signed up and we got in and we went, righto, we've got to make this happen. So pre-orders are key to making anything work because you've got to we don't have to, but it's nice to have made your money before you even go so that you can gauge what the interest is going to be, how many books you should send over, that kind of thing.
Okay, so let's talk about pre-orders. How do you organize them? First of all, how do
Hmm.
you because I have done it once where I did like a PayPal and it was a fucking nightmare invoicing and all
Oh
the
my
rest of
God.
it. Um,
PayPal sucks.
so an organizational question first, like how do
Hmm.
you do that? And then the second thing is how do you promote them?
Yeah. Okay. So I and a lot of authors were doing just Google Forms and then doing the whole pay via PayPal. You send a PayPal invoice, which is what I started doing. And then PayPal totally fucked me over and froze my account with money in it that I couldn't get out.
No.
Yeah. So I had a mini freak out. And then I was like, fuck it, I've got a Shopify store. Like I will just put them up as pre-order products. And that was actually better because you don't have to then invoice someone and wait for them to pay you. They pay as they make the pre-order. So that actually works really well. Beventi is an amazing invention, I guess. I think it was, and I meant to look this up and I didn't. I apologize. But I think it was started by an author's husband because the author was having problems organizing her own pre-orders.
So
And
I'm It was, and I met them in Vegas last year, and they
Awesome.
also created Oh Right, which is my die hard go to how I will sprint and work, and it literally changed my life. So I met them, and I just showered them with love.
Very cool because you set up your products on their website. It's like setting up a product on your own on your website, I guess, like it's the same process. But you can put in keywords, you can list tropes, you put in a couple of different genres. So the searchability within their platform is amazing. And so Tropicon in Branson is one of the ones I'm doing next year. So if anyone goes on to Beventi to pre-order from that event, then they should technically find me as well. I'll be there. So it's just another option, another discoverability. Is that a word? Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
yeah. So how do you promote them then? How do you get the people in the event? Because like, so I'm doing Rare London next year, and like I'm seeing authors posting in the Rare London group, and I'm like, nobody knows who I fucking am. Most of the authors there are like writing straight stuff. I'm like, I don't want to post in the group.
No, you have to. That's how you get it's the
Ugh.
events, Facebook pages. You just do it. And do you know what? You've got special editions and that's all they fucking want. And so you make beautiful graphics. So I'm lucky that I'm a graphic designer. And so I don't have to pay the money to get, beautiful designs and whatever else done for my special editions. But if you are paying to have the beautiful design done, don't make the designer, ask the designer if you can get the elements that they use, like the backgrounds and the fonts and the images, so that you can create your own graphics. And then absolutely those Facebook pages, event pages, that's where you gain all your traction. You just, have pretty graphics and you put a link to either your Beventi or your website or however it is that you want to get your pre-orders.
So what kind of stuff do you do to promote in the Facebook groups?
So the prettier the graphics, the better. That's what people love. And I mean, special editions, I can't stress enough. People will actually be posting on those groups saying, I want special editions. They don't even care what the genre is. They just want the pretty books. It's also really nice to just be on there and start being engaged, I guess, because people will jump on and say, hey, I'm looking for paranormal. I don't write paranormal, but I know authors who do, who are going. So I'll say, hey, jump on and check out. So it's, I don't know, engaging with the readers, but with the other authors that are going as well.
Oh, okay. I will make
Sorry.
more effort.
Do it.
Yeah. I'll just, so my activator's at 6. So like I do have a lot of that. I'll just fucking do it then. But I don't know. Like also, okay. So another question, how do you decide which events to go to? Because that's one of my biggest issues is that I'm trying to work out what is actually going to be beneficial because, um, yes, I can go to these rare events or I can go to, like, well, I can't necessarily, I can apply to go to like a Polycon or something, but the majority of the audience is straight. And then I'm like, well, maybe I'll go to a queer event. So there's one in Oregon called Queers and Quills in May next year. But then I'm like, it's a lot smaller event. Is it worthwhile going and doing that? Like, how do you make the business decision of what is because I'm guessing it's a lot of fucking money to get from Australia
Yeah.
to America. So how do you make that determination about what is worth the ROI?
So we literally, and this is Heather, Tanya, and I, we kind of make the decisions together. And we're all mothers and have jobs and whatever else. Like I've got 2 kids and 3 cats and 2 dogs and a husband and a horse. And do you know what I mean? Like I've got a lot.
That is a
Right?
lot.
And a full-time job. I have a full-time job too.
I'm
So
going to stop bitching about my 2 cats and a child and a wife.
we did have 4 horses at one stage. Anyway, so my point is it's hard to leave for any length of time. And also I don't want to leave. Like I love my life. I'm absolutely living my best life. So we literally pick a time of the year or an event, I guess, and then cram in as much as we can that's going to fit around that time frame. Like there's no point in flying across the other side of the world for one event. So for example, next year we're doing an event in Missouri, then flying to LA at Readers Tech Denver this year. We met a beautiful, beautiful bookstore owner who's going to host us for a signing there. And then we're going to drive, which is a tiny bit scary, but anyway, we're going to drive to Vegas for another signing. There was going to be two signings in Vegas, which kind of we were very excited about. Anyway, the second one got canned, I think, because the first one was happening and they hadn't realized it at the time. But anyway, so over a 2-week period, we'll have 3 signing opportunities. So that's kind of, look, there's nothing, I don't know, there's no trick to how we're picking it. But with you, I absolutely would go to a mainstream one. I don't think that, like, I'm straight and I like your books. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's just queer people who are going to like your books. Like, I think.
No, it's not just queer people, but it's about if I'm going to spend the thousands of pounds it's going to take me to get to America, I want to have maximum impact. And I suspect there will be straight people that go to queer book events as well because they like queer fiction, right? Like it's not, I'm not kind of closing those barriers. I suppose I'm trying also because I know the majority of my audience isn't straight. I'm trying to provide, I suppose, them with the best opportunity. And I suppose the other problem is like some of the queer events aren't then in like East Coast or West Coast, right? And then it's like, so then is it more beneficial to go to an event like, I don't know, somewhere in New York or somewhere in LA, like Steamy LitCon, for example? Or so, yeah, it's just, I'm finding it really difficult and overwhelming also because it feels like such a big thing to go to another country and do all the ordering. So I've got loads of questions for you, but yeah.
But also with special editions, and I know I keep harping on about special editions, but people don't even care what's in between the pages. Like I had people rocking up to my stand and they didn't know me. Like I'm a small time Aussie author, but my books are beautiful. And so that attracted them. Well, I also had stuffed koalas that I was selling, so that also attracted them. And they were like, yep, I want your book. And I was like, oh, well, they actually come in as a set of 4. So not the people listening can't see this, but so like the spines
oh my God,
have a graphic that goes across them. So you kind of, and look at the edges.
Oh my
so
God.
You get them as a set of 4. And they just were like, yep, okay. They didn't even ask what it was about. I mean, it looks post-apocalyptic, like, dystopian, whatever else, but they just wanted them because they were pretty and they did not care. So at one transaction, I was selling 4 books every one transaction.
Okay, so, oh God, this podcast could be 2 hours long. So a question about organising those special editions. Who are you printing with? And are you shipping direct to the States? Or are you, like, how does that work?
Okay, so I did Readers Take Denver this year, which is a whole other thing, which hopefully we'll have time to talk about.
Yeah, maybe I won't ask you live. Maybe I'll ask you afterwards about that.
It was a time. It was a time. So that was our first international one. I did not have the time to get them printed in China because they had Chinese New Year and I was too late to get my order in. In Australia, we have a printer in Sydney called Calligraphic, and they are next level amazing. And actually, if anyone wants ideas for designs and things for special editions, follow their Instagram because they post regularly and it's the most beautiful books. So the thing is, though, they're small and they don't have the infrastructure or the size to compete with the prices of Chinese printers. So I printed through them, but it was, my profit per book is minimal. And they actually shipped to the States for me, which is another thing. Most printers have better contacts and can get freight done cheaper than you can yourself. So I got them sent direct to the States. This time around, I'm in the process of getting I have a pen name where I write smut, and they're getting printed in China at the moment, and I'm getting half sent straight to the States and half sent to me here in Australia. Postage, I mean, it's about US $800, I think, to get 200 books posted to the States. So it's not cheap. And my post-apoc books, I'm actually, the pre-orders are priced on me getting them printed by Book Vault and getting them because I want to get things done to them that the book vault printers in the States won't do. They'll get printed in the UK and sent over. But even then, that's still way cheaper. But I just saw on Instagram today that 48-hour books are now doing stenciled edges as well. So that's quite cool. So that's another option as well. So I will get them to send them straight to the venues for me. We did, Heather, Tanya and I just found an old suitcase and we paid the extra luggage fee. We filled that up with extra books to take across with us. But obviously that's not, you know, sustainable.
Do you find you're still able to make a profit on these events, or is it not really about profit for you?
No, definitely. So the whole reason I do it is A, because I want pretty books. I want to make pretty books. I'm so into pretty stuff. And I want to travel with my besties and have a fun time and make money. So the pre-order sales that I made to go to Readers Take Denver, that paid for my flights and my accommodation and the table fee. So anything I made over there was cream. And I could have taken double the books. It was insane. I mean, Readers Take Denver were really shitty to the readers and the authors. But I can't be too pissed about it because I made a shit ton of money.
Okay. Okay. Cool. All right. Do you take non-special editions or do you only take special editions?
Just take special editions.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I also take merch. Well, it's not really merch, I guess, because it's not, I mean, you could do the printed t-shirts and the mugs and whatever else, but I just think, and you could probably do that for pre-orders, I guess. And that was it. I don't think it's worth the postage cost of having that kind of stuff there. But like I said before, I have little stuffed koalas that I take and enamel pins. And I worked it out. It was about 18% of my profit came from those kinds of things because someone might come to your table and they can't afford, US $105 for a set of books, but they can sure as shit afford a $5 enamel pin. So, and that all adds up.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so were there any other kind of merch items? So you've mentioned bookmarks and you've mentioned badge pins. Was there anything else that either you did or that you saw other people doing successfully?
Yes. So Heather writes paranormal romance and she sells crystals and tarot cards.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
yeah, and Tanya writes Viking romance and she had Viking jewelry. So it's just kind of, I guess, finding something that fits in with your brand that's not expensive to, or not heavy, I guess, to take with you. I also did some not safe for work artwork, which I was pretty much just giving away by the end because it cost me peanuts to print them and I designed them myself. But that's such a great talking point as well. Someone sees it and says, "Oh, where did you get that?" And they'll, be directed over to your table. So that's quite cool.
Do you meet your readers or are you meeting new readers when you go to these events?
New readers, 100%.
Okay, cool. All right. Are you an introvert or an extrovert?
I don't know. I mean, I feel, can you be both? Is that a thing?
Ambivert, I think is what they call it.
Yeah. All right, we'll go with that.
So
So
do you,
like I have lots of energy. And I love meeting people, but then there's a limit to it. So at a signing, you go to an event and there's like cocktail parties and pre-meeting up whatevers, and there's like all sorts of things that you can do all the time, right? And even if I have the best intention of going, I really do. I'd much rather give 110% when I'm on my stall, my table, or yeah, I don't know. I would rather conserve my energy and do that and then go back to my room and just chill the fuck out. There is a limit to how much energy anyone has, right?
so I did my first event. Are you guys normally all three together in three booths right next to each other or
No,
no? No.
no.
Okay. So I did my first event in, I don't know, early July. And I was on my own and I was so fucked that I threw up in the evening because I was that
Oh
exhausted.
God.
Yeah. And it really put me off doing another event because
Yeah.
I play a very good extrovert game. Like I am the best at playing at extrovert, but I really am not an extrovert.
It
And
takes its toll.
it really took its toll on me.
Yeah.
And I didn't have an assistant or anybody with me. It was just me doing it on my own. And yeah, I like threw up in the evening and I was so fucked. I was literally like lying on the sofa, unable to communicate because I was that exhausted. And that has definitely put me off doing an event again.
So I think the key thing there is an assistant. Like, and
Yeah.
so I always make friends with the people beside me, the authors beside me.
Wait,
Because
what? Make
if you
friends? I don't understand how you do that. I don't even think I said hello to the person
I
next to
buy
me.
them coffee.
No, you don't. Oh
I
my God, being an adult is so hard.
No, I just figure I'm there. I want to, and also, like, the first question I ask a reader who comes up to my table, I say, "What do you like reading?" Obviously, it's romance because, oh, well, not obviously, I have done events that aren't romance readers, but and then they'll tell me what kind of romance they like, right? And if I don't write that, then I want to know who else in the room does write that, so I can say, "Oh, well, head over and check out so and so who's also doing that." But also logistically, if you need to go to the toilet, you need someone to mind your table for you.
Yeah, I didn't
So
get to go to the toilet.
you need an assistant. And
Yeah.
I didn't think I needed an assistant, but the second signing I did at Readers Take Denver, I was sweating. I'm not a sweater, but I literally had sweat running down my forehead. And it was 2 hours, 3 hours, and I had a lineup. And this was just people picking up pre-orders. I'd already sold out of all my books the day before. So it was just pre-order pickups. And it was, I felt I was very overwhelmed, and I don't normally get that way. And that made me go, right, I need an assistant. That said, I can't pay a friend to come with me to the States. Like, that's just not financially advisable. But if you put a call out in those Facebook groups for that event and just say, hey, would a reader who's already coming, they've already bought their ticket, and you pay them, obviously, do you want to come and help me out for a couple of hours? That's what I'm going to do next year.
Okay. Yeah. And do you know what? Like, I was sort of groaning a minute ago because I was like, yeah, I kind of see what's happening here. You actually put like 110% effort into the signings. So, like, no wonder they go really well. Like, duh, Sasha, like, that's the fucking problem. You're not engaging with it. Yeah.
But I think that's because you're not fully sold on it yet. You've got to wait until you're really, yeah, I don't know.
Do you know the bit that I loved was getting to meet the readers? Like I did love that, but that also drained the fuck out of me. Like that was the
Hmm.
bit that I found difficult because I didn't want to disappoint anybody, you know?
Yep. Yep.
And I just wanted to make the event lovely for everybody. And I don't know. Yeah,
You would have done that anyway. You might not have thought you were giving
was
100%, but yes, you would have. And also, don't you think that the people who go to those kind of events, people who read romance, they're fucking awesome.
yeah, they are.
They just like, how I've not been to a Taylor Swift concert, but everyone talks about the vibe. Like everyone is just sharing their friendship bracelets and they're just like, it's just this amazing connected experience. That is absolutely a romance signing. Like everyone is
Yeah.
just, they've got the most awesome smutty t-shirts and they've got colored hair and they're just like so lovely and they just want to say hi. And I don't know, and they're also forgiving as well. Like they realize that this is a tough gig and they just want to say hi.
Okay, how do you know how many books to take? Pre-orders aside, how do you know
Mhm.
how many books to take? How do you organize like, I know you've talked about like printing with Book Vault and printing, you didn't have time to print with China, so you printed in an Aussie thing. But
Mhm.
how do you do those logistics? How do you know where to get them delivered? Like, how do you know how many to do? How do you know how much merch to take? Like, all of the rest of it.
It's a bit of a guessing game. Most people will say that you should, whatever you've sold in pre-orders, then you take the same amount to sell
Okay,
so you just kind of double your order, which is kind of what I go with. And I guess you can't really know until you're there. And I know I keep talking about Readers Take Denver. I think that was obviously a dumpster fire, but there were so many people there, right? Like there were so many people there that um, I could have sold out because of the volume of people, I guess. So I guess look at the size of the event that you're doing and how many people they're expecting to come through the doors as well.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about signings and the what's and what you do and how you do it. I suppose my big question is why? Why do it at all? Why not, if you can sell behind a computer screen and hide and conserve your energy, like why bother doing it at all? What are the main benefits you see kind of from attending a signing in person?
Because I want to travel. Like I really want to get out and do you know what? Also, I want to show my girls that they should follow their dreams and live their best life. And yeah, it can be hard, but like do it, give it a go. And I don't want them to feel that they have to follow what other people are doing or dim their light or I don't know. I think I'm getting a bit waffly there, but I don't know. I want to do it. So I just do.
Okay.
And it makes money. It's not costing me money. And I get pretty books.
Well, that's true. Okay, what mistakes have you seen people make, or maybe that you made in your first one? Or yeah, what kind of mistakes
Mhm.
are you seeing people making? What should people avoid doing?
So one of my mistakes, and it was actually at an Australian signing, you should know when to dress up and when not to dress up. So I write poster poc. So I actually got this costume grade makeup wound. And so I dressed up as an apocalyptic survivor, right? And I had it across my forehead. I put off so many people. I
Ah,
like people kind of like gave me a side eye and then walked past really quickly. Like
oh
that was not a
no.
good move. So that wasn't great. I think one of the big things is you're not always going to have people in front of your table all the time. There's going to be lulls. And some people, if they're not having a great day, I mean, they don't hide it. They're standing there with a sour expression, and like that's not going to draw people to you. Like you've really just got to embrace the fact that you're there. If you're not making sales, use the opportunity to take photos of the stand and your books and, do a bit of social marketing. God, I've had really quiet signings in here in Australia, and we've ended up just all the authors sitting around drinking coffee together and, going over the back end of our KDP and comparing data and stuff. Like, I don't know, just so I think that people not making the most of them being there would probably be the biggest mistake.
Okay. Yeah, and that's a really good idea in terms of like take pictures of the book stands and things like that. So what are there any other tips like that? Things that in order for people to make the most out of the day and maybe like prolong that benefit like over
Mhm.
time. So you said take pictures of the setup. Is there anything else that you recommend that people do?
So going to the States next year, Tanya, Heather, and I are going to do a lot more on TikTok, like the actual journey to engage our audiences. So really make a lot more of that than we did this time around. Also, make the most of times when people are standing around. So back to RTD, the lineup for the readers to sign in, it was hours long. Like it was, you'd kind of think you'd seen the end of the line and then, oh no, it loops around another ballroom. Like it was insanely long. So this next time, and hopefully I won't be in an event again that is that poorly managed. But I'm going to have a free book with like a QR code on a business card that I can hand out to all these people and just say, hey, while you're waiting, if you want to have a free read. So kind of that kind of marketing is smart, I think. Um,
So there was one thing that I did, and I suppose this leads into like my second question. There was something that I did, which was to have like a tropes menu. So I made like a graphic where I put the book image and then what like the headline tropes were, because I would get asked, oh, so what do you write? And I like knowing that as an introvert that I only had so many times that I could say, oh, I write this. I put
mhm.
it on like a menu. What other things did you put on your table to kind of help you? What logistical things did you make or create or print or yeah, what was that like?
So I had an A6 card, which is a postcard size, which had details of my special edition with a QR code if people didn't want to purchase it then, so they could purchase later. And I had the cost of what it would be for them, because obviously I'd be back in Australia if they were going to purchase it, what the postage cost would be. So they could take that away. If they didn't buy something right then and there, they could take that with them. Um, because I was coming such a distance, honestly, all my spare space had either books or merch crammed in. So I didn't have the big pull-up banners, or literally the special editions were my signage. That's what drew people in. But I guess other things that you'd want to take with you, I always have a little signing pack which has like blue tack, sticky tape, safety pins, tampons, tissues, extra pens. Like, it's amazing how many times someone will say, "Oh, have you got a Band-Aid?" or "Have you got, something like that?" So I always take that. A backup charger device, a backup charger thing that you can, because it does take a lot of juice out of you. So to take payments, I could do it via my Shopify store. So I upgraded my plan just for the 30 days so I could get a point of sale app. And then I have a Square reader. And so I take my payments like that. But as a backup, I have a personal PayPal account, and I did up QR codes to that with denominations of frequently bought products, so that I could just say, right, well, that's $120. Here's the QR code. So I had that as a backup because I was pretty nervous my first time doing an international signing if everything would kind of work when I was in another country. So I did that. I think this next time I will pay the money to get a actual card reader, because with the Square reader that I have, I had to manually put in the credit card details, which is just ridiculous. So don't do that. That's yuck. Yeah.
Okay. Special editions aside, what else did you do right? What advice would you give to new people who are like thinking about doing it?
So I'm not a finance person. I'm really shit with money. But so my advice is to talk to your accountant about what can be claimed and what can't be claimed before you even go. I did download an app that I could track my expenses on, so that I kind of knew and you can allocate that to, that was food or that was transport or whatever else. But really put together, and before you do it, you have to know how much it's going to cost you. And even like, you can Google how much would an Uber cost between this hotel and this airport, so that we have a spreadsheet that has every single cost that we could possibly come up with, so that we know we're not going to get over there and go, "Oh, fuck, we can't afford to do this." Like, I want to get over there, and we met some awesome readers in Denver, and we all went and did a haunted house tour together. Like, there's so many fun things you can do. But just, yeah, do your finances first and make sure that you know what this is going to cost, because there's nothing worse than getting that yucky feeling going, "Oh shit, is this credit card going to work?"
Do you think that signings are essential? Do you think that people
No.
do need to be doing them these days? No?
I don't think so. I think one of your questions, I think, was like, what kind of signings people could do. Does it have to be a book signing? And I mean, it doesn't. If you write historical, is there a medieval festival that you can go to? Is there I mean, there's not prepper conferences in Australia, but I'm assuming there are in America. Like, I write post-apocalyptic, maybe that could work. It doesn't have to be a big book signing, but I think you've kind of got to pick your lane and then run in it and try not to be distracted by what other people are doing. So I see, people doing awesome things with their direct selling on the Shopify store, which is so awesome. But that is obviously where their energy is. That's where they're putting their advertising dollars. That's kind of what their focus is. And my focus at the moment is making pretty books and going overseas.
Okay. Any final advice? Have I missed anything? Is there anything I should have asked you about? Yeah, I don't know.
Let me go through my notes.
I'm just like, what have
Also,
I forgotten?
At Readers Tech Denver, I met Kayla, who is my contact at CC. So that's my Chinese printer. There are a lot of printers in China, right? And it can be really nerve-wracking to pick like a printer in China. You don't know them. They speak a different language. It can be really daunting. But CC sent reps to this big event, and I met her, and she's the most delightful, sunshiny person. And her communication is so good, like on email. She's so prompt. She's been really amazing.
Did you print not safe for work art in the books?
No.
Yeah. See, that's what rules me out of China. Not least because I do not safe for work art, but because it's also queer, not safe for work art. So I've heard
Really?
I've heard stories, whether or not it's true, and I don't really want to take like a 10 grand risk and print a load of books to get them pulped, you know. So I am looking for somebody that's got a contact in either CC or there's another one, SHKS, I think it is. There's a couple of others to see what they would say about it, because I'm not, if they'll do it. But that's usually why I end up using BookVault, because they're literally a mile away from my house, and I can go, please, lads, print the dirty leather book.
Do this.
Yeah, exactly.
CC is excellent. So Heather is about to do a Kickstarter, I think it's Witchtober, like that's what they're calling it. It's in October, they're witchy books. And she's doing a linen bound book that's got foil on the cover, and she's doing full color chapter art. What else? Like vellum overlays. I don't know. She's doing some really cool shit. Like they really are lifting the publishing game, I think, which is really exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, this is the Rebel Author Podcast. So tell me about a time you unleashed your inner rebel.
I gave you my good one with the dog Rusty, which you used in your podcast a couple of weeks ago. So, okay. I work in marketing at a private Catholic school, and I have 2 daughters who are about to become teenagers. So I am going to be careful about what I share with you. But I do have an ongoing quiet rebellion where I subvert gender stereotypes within our school community. So, for example, I recently redesigned the subject selection booklets. And so, for example, in the sports and recreation, I replaced all the photos of boys kicking balls with girls kicking balls. And in the food technology, I replaced all the photos with girls cooking of boys cooking.
Oh my God, I love it. You're so naughty.
That's my quiet rebellion.
Yeah, it's so devious. I absolutely fucking love it. No, but that's my kind of rebellion. I love those like quietly, rebellious, but like actually doing it for a point. I absolutely fucking love that. Well, thank you for your time today. Would you like to tell everyone where they can find out more about you, your special editions, your books, and anything else you'd like to add?
Just my website, which is JacquelineHayleyAuthor.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you to you. And of course, a big thank you to all of the show's listeners and all of the show's patrons. If you would like to get early access to all of the episodes, you can do so by visiting patreon.com/Sasha Black. I'm Sasha Black. You are listening to Jacqueline Hayley, and this was the Rebel Author Podcast. Join me next week when I'm talking to Russell Nolte all about how to create a world-class Substack. So join me next week for that. Don't forget to tune in and subscribe on your podcatcher. And when you have a moment, please leave a review.